Have you noticed subtle but concerning changes in a loved one over the past year? Many people believe that death in old age happens suddenly, but in reality, the body often sends quiet warning signs months or even a year before life reaches its final stage. The problem is, most of us don't recognize them until it's too late to prepare, too late to make those last precious memories. In today's video, we'll talk about 5 key signs that often appear during the final year of life. Some of them may look like normal aging, but in truth, they're the body's silent messages. By recognizing these signs early, you'll have the chance to provide better care, cherish meaningful moments, and most importantly, make sure your loved one's final stage is filled with comfort, dignity, and peace. Stay with us until the end, because these 5 signs will not only help you prepare practically, but also emotionally, so you can walk alongside your loved one in the most meaningful way possible. Why early signs matter? When people think of death in old age, they often imagine it as sudden, a fall, a heart attack, or a stroke that comes out of nowhere. But for many older adults, the reality is slower and more gradual. The body does not simply turn off, it begins to give small, subtle hints long before the final moment. These quiet warnings can appear months, sometimes even a year before death, and they are usually easy to miss. Families may look back later and realize the signs were present all along, but in real time, they often dismiss them as just aging. That is why paying attention early is so important. Understanding these signals does not mean you are predicting the exact day or week a loved one will die. It means you are reading the body's language and recognizing when it is starting to shift focus from sustaining long-term health to conserving energy for basic survival. Knowing this changes everything. It gives families the chance to prepare, not just practically, but emotionally. It allows time for honest conversations, for organizing care, for completing legal and financial tasks, and most importantly, for making memories that will matter in the years after your loved one is gone. One of the first things to understand is that these changes rarely appear all at once. They creep in quietly. A belt that suddenly feels too loose, a nap that stretches longer than it used to, a small cut that seems slow to heal. Each by itself may not seem alarming. But together, these small shifts can paint a clear picture of decline. For caregivers, spotting these signs early can make the difference between reacting in panic and responding with calm preparedness. If you know what is happening, you can adjust expectations. Instead of pushing a loved one to eat more or get up and move, you can accept that their body is slowing and focus on comfort. Instead of waiting until a medical emergency forces rush decisions, you can plan in advance: hospice, home care, advanced directives, or simply a more peaceful daily routine. The psychological impact of understanding early signs is also powerful. Many families feel regret when they realize too late that their loved one was slipping away. They may wish they had spent more time together, said the words they had held back, or made different choices about medical interventions. Recognizing the body's signals a year out reduces this regret. It gives you space to say what needs to be said, to forgive, to thank, and to love more intentionally. There is also a practical dimension. When caregivers see decline early, they can prepare the home environment in ways that prevent crisis. Installing railings, arranging furniture for easy movement, setting up a medication plan, or planning around fatigue all reduce the chance of emergency hospitalizations. These small preparations add up to a safer, more dignified final stage. Culturally, many societies avoid talking about death until it is unavoidable. Families often keep silent, hoping that if they do not name what is happening, it will somehow go away. But silence does not stop decline. It only increases confusion and stress. By learning about these signs and accepting them as part of life, you take away some of the fear. You shift the focus from denial to action, from panic to presence. So why do these early warnings matter so much? Because they buy you time. Time to prepare, time to care, and time to cherish. The final year of life does not have to be defined by fear or regret. It can be a season of clarity, where loved ones walk the journey together with honesty and grace. And that is why we begin here with the reminder that early signs are not curses to fear, but signals to guide you in making the most of the days that remain. Sign 1, significant weight loss. Weight changes in older adults are not uncommon, but when the pounds begin to drop without effort, it becomes one of the clearest red flags that the body may be approaching its final stage. Unlike the gradual weight gain of middle age or the intentional weight loss that comes with dieting, unintentional loss in seniors is usually not a neutral event. It is often the body's way of signaling that something fundamental is shifting inside. The first layer of this change is physical appearance. Families may notice that clothes no longer fit the way they used to, belts need new holes, or rings feel looser. At the dinner table, portions shrink. Meals that once brought pleasure are pushed aside after just a few bites. It is easy to dismiss this as picky eating or just a smaller appetite with age, but the truth runs deeper. At its core, unintentional weight loss means the body is no longer absorbing and using nutrients the way it once did. In older adults, digestion slows, muscle mass declines, and organs begin to lose efficiency. This leads to sarcopenia, a progressive loss of muscle tissue that robs the body of strength and stability. Less muscle means greater weakness, higher risk of falls, and slower recovery from even minor injuries. Beyond muscle, weight loss is also linked to immune decline. Protein fuels the body's defenses. Without enough, the immune system weakens, making infections more likely. A small cold that once resolved in a few days can linger for weeks, draining energy further. Wounds heal slower, skin becomes thinner, and resilience fades. Underlying medical conditions often drive this process. Chronic illnesses such as cancer, heart failure, kidney disease, or advanced lung conditions frequently cause weight loss long before other major symptoms emerge. Depression and cognitive decline can also play a role, reducing appetite and leading to skipped meals. In some cases, medications' dull taste create nausea or disrupt digestion, pushing the person further into a nutritional spiral. Families, understandably, try to fight back. They bring favorite meals, cook more often, and encourage their loved ones to eat just a little more. Protein shakes and nutritional supplements line the kitchen counter. But when the body itself is shutting down its demand for food, these efforts often fail. Forcing food can even create discomfort, bloating, nausea, or feelings of heaviness that make the person more resistant to eating altogether. The truth is sobering. When weight loss persists despite best efforts, it usually signals that the body is entering a phase of decline that cannot be reversed by calories alone. The metabolism is slowing not because of diet, but because life itself is winding down. This does not mean families are powerless. What matters shifts from forcing weight gain to preserving comfort. The goal is not to extend the number on the scale, but to make eating as pleasant and easy as possible. Small, frequent meals work better than large ones. Soft foods, favorite flavors, and easy-to-swallow options can help. Hydration becomes just as important as food, water, soups, and juices maintain energy without overwhelming the digestive system. Psychologically, weight loss also has an impact. For many older adults, noticing their shrinking frame is a reminder of frailty. They may feel embarrassed about loose clothes or ashamed of needing help. Gentle reassurance helps here. Letting them know they are valued and loved regardless of size reduces the fear that often comes with visible decline. For caregivers, the lesson is clear. Do not dismiss sudden or sustained weight loss as just aging. Pay attention, track meals, monitor clothes, and note changes over weeks, not just days. If a loved one continues losing weight despite efforts, recognize it as one of the body's messages that time may be limited. This is where the shift from fixing to supporting begins. Instead of asking, how can I make them gain weight again? The better question becomes, how can I make eating comfortable and meaningful in these final months? A shared bowl of soup, a favorite dessert, or even just sitting together with tea can become small but powerful rituals that nourish the spirit as much as the body. Significant weight loss in the final year is not just about numbers. It is a story the body is telling, one that deserves to be heard. By listening, families can prepare, adapt, and create care that prioritizes dignity, peace, and the comfort that matters most. Sign 2. Severe fatigue and weakness. Fatigue in the elderly is more than being a little tired. When an older adult begins to show extreme, persistent exhaustion, it signals that their body is moving into a new phase of decline. Unlike normal tiredness that improves with a good night's sleep or a restful afternoon nap, this fatigue lingers. It is deeper, more consuming, and it does not go away with rest. At first, it may look subtle. A person who once enjoyed gardening now spends most of the day sitting. Short walks to the mailbox become difficult. Getting dressed in the morning takes longer. Then, gradually, even the smallest actions, showering, standing up from a chair, holding a conversation, start to feel like monumental tasks. The body is no longer generating the energy it once could, and the reserves run out quickly. The science behind this is clear. As the heart pumps less efficiently and circulation weakens, muscles receive less oxygen. Energy production slows. The body begins to conserve what little it has by cutting back on non-essential activity. Sleep patterns also change. Many elderly people in their final year begin sleeping for longer stretches, taking multiple naps, or even drifting off during conversations. This is not laziness, it is biology. The body is directing energy inward, saving it for the most basic functions. The emotional toll of fatigue can be as heavy as the physical one. Older adults who once valued independence may feel frustration, even shame, when they cannot perform daily tasks without help. They may withdraw from family gatherings, not because they do not care, but because the effort of being present is overwhelming. Fatigue makes hobbies lose their appeal. Conversations feel like work. Even smiling can take effort. For caregivers, this stage is painful to witness. The instinct is often to encourage activity, try walking a little more, stay awake longer, push through it. But pushing does not help. Forcing activity may even increase risk of falls or accidents. What matters most is adjusting expectations and supporting the person at their new level of ability. This is where small adaptations can make a big difference. Placing chairs throughout the house allows for frequent rest breaks. Encouraging energy conservation techniques, sitting while brushing teeth, using adaptive tools for dressing, or organizing the home so essentials are within reach, reduces unnecessary strain. Accepting that naps are part of the day helps everyone adjust without guilt. Nutrition and hydration also play roles in managing fatigue. Even when the body is declining, small amounts of protein, easy-to-digest foods, and regular fluids can help sustain energy. Simple pleasures, a warm cup of tea, a small serving of fruit, or a favorite soup can bring both comfort and a mild boost. Beyond physical care, it is crucial to address the emotional side. Many older adults feel a sense of loss when fatigue limits their independence. Caregivers can help by reframing expectations. Rather than focusing on what is no longer possible, emphasize what can still be enjoyed. Reading together, listening to music, or sitting quietly in the garden can provide meaningful connection without exhausting effort. There is also a spiritual and psychological dimension. Fatigue often signals that the body is preparing to let go. For some, this realization brings peace. For others, it brings fear. Gentle conversations about what the person is experiencing, without pressure to stay strong, can help them process their feelings. Sometimes, simply sitting in silence with them is the best form of support. Families should also understand that fatigue may come in waves. Some days will seem almost normal. The person may laugh, engage, or take short walks. Then suddenly, the next day, they may be unable to get out of bed. These fluctuations are part of the process. Recognizing them as normal reduces the stress of constantly wondering, why are they worse today? Ultimately, severe fatigue is a sign that the body is drawing inward, conserving energy for the most essential functions. For families, this is a time to shift focus from productivity to presence. The question is no longer, how much can they do, But how can we make the time they have left as comfortable and meaningful as possible? In the end, responding with patience, gentleness, and acceptance provides what every person nearing life's close needs most: dignity, understanding, and peace. Sign 3: Cognitive changes and withdrawal. One of the most unsettling shifts families notice in the year leading up to death is not physical, but mental. The sharp, engaged parent or grandparent begins to change. At first, it may be minor, repeating a question, losing track of time, forgetting a name. Over time, these lapses grow more frequent, and they begin to reshape daily life. The brain, like every other organ, depends on oxygen and nutrients. As circulation weakens and organ systems slow, the brain's efficiency declines. Neurons fire less reliably, memory retrieval falters, and focus shortens. What looks like just aging is often the mind reflecting the body's deeper decline. Families may notice moments of confusion that seem out of character. A loved one who has lived in the same house for decades might suddenly seem unsure which hallway leads to the bedroom. A normally skilled storyteller may lose the thread of a story halfway through. Some people repeat themselves within minutes, unaware they are doing it. Others become disoriented in conversations, unable to follow even simple exchanges. This cognitive decline often comes with emotional withdrawal. Seniors begin speaking less, participating less, and spending long periods in silence. It is not that they stop caring, but rather that conversation requires more energy than they can muster. Loud environments, once stimulating, now feel overwhelming. Family gatherings that used to bring joy may suddenly cause distress, leading the person to retreat into the background. Mood changes often follow. Some become irritable or anxious, quick to frustration over small issues. Others grow strangely calm or detached, showing little reaction to events around them. This is not a personality change by choice. It is the brain adapting to reduced function. Emotions flatten because the brain no longer processes them the same way. For families, watching these changes can feel like losing the person twice, first mentally, then physically. A son may feel his mother no longer recognizes him fully. A spouse may feel like their partner is slipping away into another world. It is a form of anticipatory grief, mourning the presence of someone who is still physically here. The response that helps most is patience and gentleness. Correcting every mistake, insisting on remembering, or pushing them to engage only creates stress. Instead, meet them where they are. If they forget details, respond calmly. If they repeat themselves, listen again. If they fall silent, sit quietly by their side. Presence often matters more than words. Practical strategies also ease the burden. Keeping routines consistent reduces confusion. Familiar objects, photographs, blankets, favorite music, anchor them in comfort. Simplifying the environment, such as labeling drawers or reducing clutter, prevents frustration. When possible, conversations should be slow, clear, and short. Too many words at once can overwhelm. Families should also watch for sudden changes in mental clarity. Unlike slow decline, rapid confusion can signal infection, dehydration, or medication issues. In the elderly, urinary tract infections or pneumonia often show up first as sudden mental changes rather than fever. Recognizing this distinction allows for timely medical care that may restore some clarity, even temporarily. It is important to remember that even when the mind fades, the ability to feel connection remains. An elderly person may not recall your name, but they may recognize the warmth of your hand. They may not follow the conversation, but they feel the comfort of your voice. They may not respond with words, but their body may relax in your presence. This stage is also an opportunity for families to shift focus from demanding conversations to creating calm, safe spaces. Reading aloud, playing soft music, or simply sitting together can provide reassurance. While the brain loses its grip on memory and language, the heart continues to respond to love, presence, and peace. Cognitive changes and withdrawal are painful signs, but they are also natural steps in the body's preparation for the end. By accepting them, adjusting expectations, and offering calm support, families can ease the distress of this stage. The goal is not to pull the person back to who they once were, but to walk alongside who they are now, with compassion, patience, and understanding. Sign 4. Infections and slow healing. Another powerful sign that an elderly person may be entering the final year of life is the way the body responds to illness and injury. Where once a cold or a small cut healed within days, now recovery takes weeks. Sometimes healing does not happen at all. What families see on the outside, persistent infections, lingering coughs, wounds that resist closing, is the visible proof that the immune system is no longer defending the body as it once did. In a younger body, immune cells respond quickly to threats. White blood cells multiply, antibodies attack, and damaged tissue repairs itself efficiently. But in late life decline, the immune system weakens. Production of protective cells slows, circulation delivers fewer nutrients, and repair processes stall. This leaves the body open to frequent illnesses and makes even simple infections difficult to overcome. Pneumonia, urinary tract infections, UTIs, and skin infections become common. Each one drains energy further. A cough that once cleared in a week now lingers for a month. A UTI may cause sudden confusion, agitation, or fatigue before any burning or fever appears. Skin injuries, scratches, bruises, or pressure sores may grow worse instead of healing. Even oral infections, like gum disease or sores, can appear without warning. Families often assume each illness is separate, a random occurrence. But when infections come repeatedly or healing slows dramatically, it is usually not about bad luck. It is the body signaling that its defenses are running out. Antibiotics, once effective, may no longer work as quickly or at all. Recovery from a hospital stay may leave the person weaker instead of stronger. Another overlooked issue is circulation. Poor blood flow means wounds receive less oxygen and fewer nutrients. Small cuts on the legs or feet may remain open for weeks, risking infection. Pressure sores develop more easily when someone spends long periods in bed or sitting. These wounds can become severe if not carefully managed, yet prevention and comfort often matter more than aggressive attempts to cure them at this stage. Caregivers can help by shifting focus from cure to comfort. Clean, moisturized skin reduces risk of sores. Frequent position changes prevent pressure injuries. Hydration supports healing and reduces infection risk. Gentle oral care lowers the chance of painful mouth infections. Instead of chasing each illness with another round of strong medication, families may choose approaches that prioritize quality of life, keeping the person comfortable, clean, and calm. It is also important to recognize how differently infection shows up in older adults. Unlike younger people, seniors may not spike high fevers. Instead, a sudden increase in confusion, new weakness, or a lack of appetite may be the only sign. Families who know this can act quickly, contacting doctors early to address symptoms while avoiding unnecessary distress. The emotional toll is heavy as well. Families watching repeated illnesses may feel frustrated or helpless, hoping that one more treatment will fix the problem. But often, aggressive medical intervention does not restore health in the way it once did. Instead, it prolongs suffering without improving comfort. This is when conversations about goals of care become crucial. Asking, do we want to focus on curing every infection, or do we want to focus on making them comfortable, can bring clarity to difficult choices. For the elderly themselves, repeated illness may create anxiety. They may feel fragile, unsafe, or fearful of the next hospital visit. Offering reassurance, providing calm routines, and avoiding unnecessary medical disruption often reduces distress more than another prescription. Ultimately, frequent infections and slow healing are not just medical events. They are markers of a body nearing its limit. When this sign appears, the wisest path is often less about fighting every battle and more about ensuring comfort, dignity, and peace in the battles that remain. Sign 5. Breathing and circulation shifts. As the body moves closer to the final stage of life, changes in breathing and circulation often appear. These shifts are some of the most visible and unsettling signs for families. They show that the body is no longer maintaining balance in the same way it once did, and they can serve as clear markers that decline has entered a more advanced phase. Breathing patterns are often the first to change. Instead of steady, even breaths, families may notice irregular rhythms. Some breaths are shallow, followed by deeper, rapid ones, then a sudden pause. This pattern, known as Cheney-Stokes respiration, is especially common in late life. At first, it may occur only at night, but over time it becomes more frequent, even during the day. Other times, breathing simply slows. The chest rises and falls gently, but with longer pauses in between. The person may sigh or appear to forget to breathe for a moment before starting again. These pauses can be frightening to witness, yet they are part of the body's gradual winding down. The brain's signals to the lungs are no longer as consistent, and the muscles that power breathing grow weaker. Alongside breathing, circulation also declines. Blood flow prioritizes the vital organs, leaving the extremities with less supply. Families often notice cold hands and feet, even when the room is warm. Skin may develop a bluish or mottled appearance, especially around fingers and toes. Nails may turn pale, and the lips may look slightly purplish. These changes reflect the heart's reduced pumping power and the body's choice to conserve energy. Shortness of breath becomes another common struggle. Tasks as simple as sitting up, eating, or talking may leave the person winded. They may prefer to sleep propped up on pillows or in a recliner to ease lung pressure. In some cases, fluid builds up in the lungs, causing a wet cough, gurgling sounds, or chest tightness. Families may mistake this for a cold, but in reality, it is part of the circulation and respiratory slowdown. The instinctive reaction is to worry or to try to fix the breathing. Families may encourage deeper breaths, call for emergency treatment, or push for aggressive oxygen support. While medical interventions like oxygen or medications can provide comfort, they do not reverse the underlying decline. At this stage, the goal is not to cure, but to relieve discomfort. Practical steps make a real difference. Keeping the room cool and well ventilated reduces the feeling of breathlessness. A humidifier eases dryness in the airways. Offering small sips of water can soothe the throat and ease coughing. Adjusting the person's position, raising their head and chest, often brings immediate relief. In some cases, medications prescribed by doctors can reduce the sensation of breathlessness or calm the anxiety that often accompanies it. Families should also know that these changes, while distressing to watch, are usually not painful for the person experiencing them. The struggle often lies more in how it appears to others than in what the individual feels. Many elderly people describe shortness of breath as tiring rather than agonizing. By creating a calm environment, speaking gently, keeping noise low, offering physical reassurance, caregivers can ease both physical and emotional stress. The emotional weight of these signs is heavy. Seeing a loved one breathe irregularly or noticing their cold hands can trigger fear that death is near. And while these are indeed late-stage signs, they often appear weeks or even months before the final moment. Understanding them helps families avoid panic and instead focus on presence. This stage can also be a time of intimate connection, holding a loved one's hand, offering gentle touch, and speaking calmly can anchor them in peace. Even when words are difficult, the body still responds to comfort. Families often find that these moments, quiet, tender, simple, become the memories they hold long after their loved one is gone. Major changes in breathing and circulation are powerful indicators that life is nearing its final chapter. They are not warnings to fight harder, but invitations to slow down, to shift from urgency to peace, and to focus on dignity and comfort. By understanding what these changes mean, families can stand steady, offer reassurance, and walk with their loved one through one of life's most profound passages. Care, planning, and meaningful goodbyes. When the signs of decline begin to appear, weight loss, fatigue, cognitive withdrawal, infections, and breathing changes, it is natural for families to feel overwhelmed. Each shift feels like a new problem to solve, but taken together, they point toward a larger truth. The body is preparing for its final transition. This is not a failure of care. It is a natural part of life. The role of family and caregivers in this stage is not to prevent the inevitable, but to shape the quality of the time that remains. Care at this point becomes less about cure and more about comfort. The medical system often focuses on extending life at all costs, but many families discover that this approach brings more suffering than peace. Aggressive treatments, hospitalizations, and invasive procedures rarely restore health once decline has set in. Instead, they drain energy, increase discomfort, and reduce the time available for meaningful connection. Choosing comfort-oriented care, whether through hospice, palliative care, or a family-centered plan, can transform the final year into one defined by dignity rather than distress. Comfort care does not mean giving up. It means shifting priorities. Pain control, symptom relief, and emotional support become the focus. Soft foods instead of forced meals. Rest instead of pressure to stay active. Gentle reassurance instead of constant correction. Families who embrace this shift often find that their loved one becomes calmer, more at ease, and more able to spend time in ways that truly matter. Planning is another critical layer. When families recognize the signs of decline early, they can have conversations that many people postpone until it is too late. What kind of medical interventions does the person want or not want? Would they prefer to stay at home or be hospitalized if their condition worsens? Do they want religious or spiritual support? Who will make decisions if they cannot speak for themselves? These discussions are difficult, but they are gifts. They prevent confusion, guilt, and conflict later, and they give families the confidence that they are honoring their loved one's wishes. Legal and financial readiness is equally important. Advanced directives, living wills, and power of attorney documents clarify decision-making. Organizing paperwork, updating wills, and making financial plans reduce stress for everyone. Addressing these issues while the person can still participate ensures that choices reflect their voice, not just others' assumptions. But beyond medical and legal matters lies the heart of this stage: meaningful goodbyes. The final year is a chance to turn ordinary days into lasting memories. Families often focus so much on caregiving tasks that they forget the simple moments that matter most. Listening to stories, looking through photo albums, cooking a favorite meal, sitting quietly together. These small acts carry profound meaning for both the person nearing the end and those who will remain. It is also a time to say what has been left unsaid. Expressions of love, gratitude, forgiveness, or reconciliation carry a unique power in these months. Many people fear raising emotional topics, worried it will upset their loved one. In reality, most elderly individuals nearing the end long for these conversations. They want to know they mattered. They want to leave no words unspoken. For families, speaking from the heart now prevents the regret of silence later. Rituals can also play a role. Whether religious, cultural, or personal, rituals give structure to the final stage of life. A prayer at bedtime, a blessing at meals, or even a simple candlelit evening of reflection can provide comfort and continuity. These acts remind everyone that while the body is weakening, the spirit remains strong. For caregivers, the journey is demanding. Fatigue, guilt, and sadness often weigh heavily. Seeking support from other family members, community groups, or professional services ensures no one carries the burden alone. Caring for oneself is not selfish, it is essential. A rested, supported caregiver is far better able to offer patience, gentleness, and presence. In the end, when families accept the signs and adjust their priorities, the final year becomes something more than decline. It becomes a season of clarity, where love rises to the surface and every moment carries new weight. Death is certain, but the way we walk toward it is not. With compassion, planning, and presence, the last chapter of life can be one of dignity, peace, and connection that endures long after the body is gone. The final year of life rarely arrives suddenly. It is marked by subtle signs that many families overlook until it is too late. Unintentional weight loss, deep fatigue, cognitive decline, recurring infections, and changes in breathing or circulation are all signals that the body is slowing down and preparing for its last stage. Recognizing these signs early allows families to focus on what truly matters: comfort, dignity, and meaningful connection. Instead of forcing activity or treatment, this stage is best spent cherishing moments, having important conversations, and creating peace. Preparing legally and emotionally helps reduce stress, while small daily rituals, holding hands, sharing stories, or enjoying a quiet meal become lasting memories. The journey is never easy, but with compassion and presence, it can be filled with love and meaning. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts. Your story may help someone else today.